Allerton mother is demanding justice after her 11-year-old daughter was brutally beaten while walking her dog after school. News 12's Natalie Hernandez spoke with her about what she wants done after that brutal beating, which was captured on exclusive video.
So in a previous video on this channel, we talked about an incident that went down in New York City on a local MTA bus where a bunch of teens, a bunch of youths right after school, got in what was described insanely by the local news media as an after-school fight. But in reality, when you watch the video of said regular ordinary after school fight, what you ended up seeing depicted was one of the teens, a 13-year-old, had a machete in his hand. The other teen who was on the bus, who was trying to dodge the machete, had a knife in his hand, and of course a third teen had pepper spray. And essentially, if not for the intervention of a bus driver who got injured during this altercation, this very likely would have been a deadly force encounter. However, what actually ended up happening was one of the youths ended up getting arrested for this. The other ones were at large, and I heavily criticized and in fact showed the uncensored video of the actual people behind this, the local news media, because they decided to obscure the identities of the suspect in that particular case. Well, guess what? In this video right here, we have an 11-year-old girl who's walking in her neighborhood holding a 3-month-old puppy. Then a bunch of youths, a bunch of teenagers that, by the way, the mother says she had complained about to the school before for savagely attacking her, decided to savagely attack her again. And this beating was vicious. It was absolutely horrific. The entire thing is blurred by the local news media, but it's so violent that even with the blurring, I can't show you the strikes against this girl. And after they beat this girl to the point where she ended up having a seizure on the ground, she was convulsing, they decided it would be a good idea, just for the laughs, just for the LOL moment, to kick her dog, kick a 3-month-old puppy.
Daughter come to my house today. And she come on my property and then she kicked my dog.
This is what these teens, what these youths actually did. And considering we already had a previous incident, according to the mother, that was not addressed by law enforcement, this is fully on New York City. This is fully on a law that we've called out time and time again called Raise the Age, which basically makes it impossible to prosecute people under the age of 18 unless they commit murder. And even then, it's a little bit dodgy. And yet that law is still in effect, even though 1 year after the passage of that law, we saw the instances of violence among youth and reoffending among youth go up dramatically. And this is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
The scary moments. A group of young people approach a girl as she's walking her after school. One person grabs her, throws her to the ground, and kicks her 3-month-old puppy.
Kicked my dog.
A person with orange hair punches the girl in the head several times until a bystander stops her car and rushes in to help. The girl's mother says watching the attack unfold on video left her shaking.
So look, obviously I have to freeze frame this video because YouTube age restricts. They do all sorts of crazy things to my channel if I show you even one punch being thrown. But in reality, you guys need to understand that the blur from the local news media is not because of those restrictions. It's not due to the violence. It's due to the fact that they're trying to obscure the identities of the perpetrators. So you have a mob of youths surrounding this 11-year-old girl, savagely beating her, attacking her when she's on the ground, kicking her puppy.
She kicked my dog.
And the local news media, NJ12, decided it would be a good idea to cover up for the youths, cover up for the criminals, cover up for the people who are at large. And by the way, make no mistake about it, that instinct to cover up for the perpetrators is exactly why this instance happened. The mother has said repeatedly that she has warned the school, gone to them, told them that they have had problems with her daughter being attacked by these thugs. And guess what? The school said, no big deal, innocent baby Angel Aladdin's. Oh, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but we still hold to those Biden era disciplinary policies that say if we suspend minority students more than white students because those minority students commit more crimes than white students, then that's actually evil white racism. So we can't actually do that. So these kids very likely are known to the school. These kids very likely have received slaps on the wrist before, and they beat this 11-year-old girl to the point of convulsion, and then they kicked her dog. They kicked the girl's dog. You remember that old prank call thing? You kicked my dog?
You know where I live, my dog. She kicked it.
They did do that in this particular video.
I don't know. It's no word right now. She covered her face and they hit the dog.
So this is also very important for you guys to understand. This little girl was beaten savagely. She was already on the ground. They kicked her dog and then they came back for more. Then they came back to throw more haymakers at her face. More people ended up getting involved in this particular instance. By the way, they should have very identifiable features. We get the hair color from the local news, just the hair color, but we don't actually see who these youths are. We don't actually see the surveillance video. That is being obscured from us. But again, they weren't going to stop when she was on the ground. They weren't going to stop when she was convulsing. They only stopped when an adult intervened in this situation. And unfortunately, the city of New York, the state of New York, has decided that they're not going to be the adult in the room. They have decided that those youths right there that savagely beat this girl, kicked her little puppy, then continued to assault her when she was on the ground. In fact, more people got in on it because they were having fun. They were likely filming this for their entertainment because, you know, it's all a part of the game. It's all a part of the entertainment. And a lot of people get mad at me for calling this what it is, which is the knockout game, because they say, Sean, it's not the knockout game. This is attempted murder. This is a serious violent assault. But the thing you need to understand is that those youths, those teens, those people who need to be obscured from our viewing, because God forbid we could actually identify them and hold them accountable for the crimes, they do this for fun. It is a game to them. It is entertainment. We might be witnessing a savage, brutal beating of an 11-year-old girl, the kicking of her dog, but what they're doing is participating in a fun, entertaining game where they try to make this girl bleed, put her in the hospital, knock her out cold, beat her to the point of convulsions, because again, that's fun for them. That's entertainment. That is how they get joy in their lives.
Neighbors recounting those horrifying moments they saw in real time.
She was like defenseless, like she was just laying there, not even trying to defend herself.
The 11-year-old who has epilepsy was taken to Jacoby Hospital.
She convulsed in the floor. She get hit in her face.
So you hear the mother right there, and obviously she has been brought to tears. She says, oh my God, I saw my daughter cover her face. And after she covered her face in order to defend herself because they were savagely attacking her, one of the savages decided to go kick her little puppy. That's what they decided to do in response to this girl trying to defend herself in any little bit that she can. And by the way, when I say defend herself, I don't mean fight back. I mean protect herself from more assaults that were 100% coming, because again, after they kicked the dog, they went back to beating the crap out of her. And this again was done for fun. So everybody who's gonna say we need to arrest poverty, the Zora Mamdanis out there who are like, oh my God, innocent Beba Angel Aladdins, they were beating the crap out of this girl for fun. You know what we need? We need to send them to an amusement park. You know what we need? We need midnight basketball. We need some kind of social program, some kind of social worker to talk to these youths, to tell them that savagely beating somebody for fun is actually the fault of systemic structures and evil white racism. And what we actually need to do is give them more welfare, give their moms more food stamps, hand over more EBT to their parents, so that way they won't participate in this kind of violence, because there's no way we could ever hold the criminal accountable for their crimes. There's no way we can ever look at these youths, realize they know exactly what they're doing it on purpose, they're picking on somebody vulnerable because they like inflicting pain, and actually incarcerate them as a consequence of their own actions. We can't have that. That would be totally unacceptable and evil, white, and racist if you really think about it. I mean, if you have brain damage, if maybe you were raised by foreigners and you're a wealthy Ugandan, then maybe you would realize that this was just not the way in order to address this particular situation if you want to go at law enforcement. What we actually have to do in this particular situation is pander to the orange-haired innocent Baba Angel Aladdins and hope that they can have their starving families fed, because obviously that's why they kicked that little dog.
She convulsed in the floor. She get hit in her face, lips, and eye. And her body too.
So yeah, the girl gets taken to the hospital, and like I said earlier on, you can actually see her convulsing on the floor. She also apparently has epilepsy, so they're brutalizing somebody again who is more vulnerable than your regular ordinary population. And this is a time that I think it would be crucial to point out that this happened in the Bronx. This is obviously a Latino family, those being victimized by this particular crime. We don't hear from the father, so likely this girl is in a single mother household with a mom who speaks with a heavy heavy accent. So all this talk about how we have to arrest poverty and poverty is what's driving these youths to commit crimes, in reality, the people who are victimized by these crimes are often in poverty themselves, and it often drives them further into poverty because, spoiler alert, crime drives poverty, not the other way around. How is this mom supposed to pay for the medical bills for her daughter? Again, she barely speaks English. She likely doesn't work a high-end profession. She wouldn't live in that neighborhood if she did. And now she has to deal not only with a daughter that has epilepsy, but in addition to that, with additional medical bills. Now, likely, this is a woman that has Medicaid, so I'm sure that covers some of the costs. But what about the emotional stress? What about the therapy that this girl needs? And what about finding another school for her daughter? Because guess what? The daughter does not want to go back to school. Obviously so. We can all understand why. But it's not exactly like private school scholarships are just floating around there for this mother to take advantage of. Obviously, in this particular case, guess what? She's going to have to go back to that school, otherwise face more consequences. By the way, obviously she's going to miss work to see her daughter at the hospital. And this is one of the reasons why that, again, crime drives poverty, not the other way around. They are in a worse off position financially due to the actions of these criminals.
This wasn't the first time her daughter was targeted. Her mother says one of the attackers hit her daughter and a friend during the first week of school.
I went 2 times to the district and I say, I feel my daughter's not safe. And they say, this takes time. And I said, what about if something happened to her?
So first week of school, her daughter gets physically assaulted along with a friend that was with her. The mom decides to go to the school in order to say, hey, this is what's going on. And rather than do what is normal, what is reasonable, what is rational, which is, punish the people that are responsible for the physical assault, suspend them and whatnot, what we end up seeing right here is that, of course, in New York City, where they have these woke suspension rules, where they declare it evil, white, and racist to have disproportionate suspensions for minorities, they say, look, it takes time. Maybe we'll refer your daughter to counseling because probably she's the problem. And in reality, what we need you to do is shut up. We need you to stop talking about this because there's no problem. Now, of course, the mom understands that there is a problem, that there is a threat. She ends up saying, hey, by the way, what if something happens? What are you going to do then? And of course, what the school is going to do then at that moment in time is stay silent on the matter. They're going to pretend that they didn't have any interaction with her, and they're going to pretend that this is not yet another case of them not suspending a youth and not referring them to the district attorney for prosecution. And of course, it escalating because that's what happens when you don't actually prosecute. The offenses get worse.
Her daughter is traumatized, refusing to return to school.
She don't want to go outside. She's scared. She may well think somebody's following her. She's not going to trust any school again.
So look, she obviously describes the fact that her daughter is scared to go outside. She's scared to go to school. These are all understandable feelings. But then the local news media ends up cutting to the sidewalk right there, and they tell us that there's still blood in the spot where she was beaten.
Blood still stains the concrete after that 11-year-old was beaten just a block away from her school. Now, her mother tells me that she plans to file charges as soon as those attackers are found.
Now, look, I've alluded to this throughout the whole course of this video, but again, I need to reiterate it, and hopefully somebody can convey the message to this mom, so maybe she moves to a different place. But the idea that you're going to press charges as soon as they're found, and then the local news media is going to obscure the surveillance video to aid and abet the criminals to not be found is absurd and ridiculous. But in addition to that, for all the fanfare that we've heard about District Attorney Alvin Bragg and how woke he is and how he's not prosecuting anyone for anything, this occurred in the Bronx, the only district attorney in the city of New York that has a lower prosecution rate, a lower conviction rate, and a higher rate of drop cases than District Attorney Alvin Bragg is the Bronx District Attorney. So she's like, I'm going to press charges. Well, spoiler alert, the district attorney is not going to press charges. Spoiler alert, we're going to have bail reform come into place, same day automatic release. If they're on probation and parole, guess what? We have less is more, so that definitely won't be violated. And in addition to that, we have raised the age, which is going to minimize this case as much as possible to ensure that nobody suffers any consequences for this. So no, you might say you want to press charges in this particular case, but the Bronx district attorney is not going to do so. The Bronx District Attorney is going to make sure that these youths walk, probably with a slap on the wrist, probably refer them to some kind of Mondani-esque midnight basketball program at the absolute worst. And when they don't show up and they attack again, guess what? They're still going to pretend that nobody could have seen this coming. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think about all this down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show me by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about absolute madness in the Bronx. Till next time.